All the days of building something and using your mind to do something interesting in racing are basically dead with one exception. They've got an unlimited class.
And there's nothing that says I can't build a fan car.
Oh, dear YouTubers, the bar's up here now. What's up, people? Today is the day we're going to unveil the Jabberwock Jackwagon build. Now that is going to be done with the Generation 2 Dodge Viper engine right here. That's an 8-liter V10. I'm really excited, and as you guys may have known, we are going to mate that to a Porsche 996 twin-turbo transaxle, 6-speed synchro mesh, and generally going to be able to handle the horsepower and torque of the Viper engine, but being a little nicer to drive on the street than, say, a full dog box for racing, which is more like what you see in a motorcycle. Also here you will see I've got some boxes. These are going to be the adapter plates and the really cool twin disc clutch that's going to be mating those. And also you'll notice on the floor all of these stainless steel pipes that have no directions or pictures of how to put them on. And my friend Doug, who you have just seen if you're watching this channel, get a 1994 Dodge Viper and took it to a dealership service department. Doug, that was a terrible idea. But we fixed it and we saved it and fixed it with a Swiss Army knife. Boom, right there. So what's going on today? Now, here's the thing. So over here in the corner is, in fact, my new Dodge Viper. It's titled as a 1993, and it was built in December of 1992. That's the origin of Viper and the engine and everything that car was. And Vipers basically were a reincarnation of the Cobra from the 60s. They were the attitude of the 60s. They didn't give a rat's ass what the general populace thought. They were just an awesome car. That one has no side windows or realistic top or outside door handles, and honestly, I don't really care. But the Viper, despite being such an amazing car embodying that American spirit and a high point of history, it did get to race all over the world, but as production-based cars. And Viper missed an amazing chapter that happened, so that's the hint. But don't fast forward, because right now we're going to time-lapse this thing while Doug and I figure out the horrific puzzle that are these stainless steel headers, and we're going to go ahead and attach the drivetrain together, chat about it, and then have an awesome time-lapse unveil of the Jabberwock Jackwagon. Boom, headers. Okay, it is the next day, hence the change of clothes for me and the boxes and things being around. But the headers went on pretty well. I had to hog out the holes for the flanges just a little bit because frankly they were drilled on the flanges a little too close and they were crowding the bolts where it go in the headers. So that would lead to people potentially cross-threading and stripping out. So don't want that. But they lined up pretty well. For right now, I've got the headers bolted up directly to the ports of the engine without gaskets in it. The gaskets will come when I go to do the final setup for the car to actually drive it. But right now it's going to be for mock-up and all. And naturally, these headers were designed for a stock Dodge Viper, hence the turn here. So I bought these because it was the least expensive way to get something decent that I don't mind modifying for use in what we're gonna build. So I'll probably end up cutting it off, wham, right there at the collector, and then deciding to have the exhaust go wherever it is that I want. Out the sides, out the back in a single, out the top like a kooky McLaren or a semi truck. It's funny what people think are chic. Is it a cool McLaren with the exhaust coming out the back, or is it like a semi truck? You decide. Anyway, so now I got to attach the transaxle to the engine and break my back dragging it over there because I'm going to assemble the Jabberwock body around it. Boom! Time lapse. So now's the time. It is finally the time to unveil the Jabberwock. So I'm going to set up the time lapse, get it way back, and I'm going to start carrying in bodywork and setting it up as it would be on the car. So what do you guys think it's going to be? I hope you enjoy this. Boom, you guys, this is it. I think a lot of you have guessed it, but this is a car that haunted my childhood in the best possible way. A lot of people guessed that I was going to be building some sort of Can-Am car going back to the 60s, but truthfully, the coolest time period for absolutely unruly wild cars was the 1980s and early 90s with Group C in Europe and IMSA GTP in the United States, which ended up making way for the WSC series and then later was replaced with the most horrific looking Daytona prototype series that was an abomination, and they looked like stink bugs with some sort of radioactive formation. I just had to say that. I hate those cars, but I adored the high downforce, just completely massive over-the-top cars of the 80s and early 90s. And this is a body that came out of the Nissan GTP factory molds. This was the highest downforce car, making something like 10,000 pounds of downforce, and now I've got one. But instead of making it a high-strung thing with this little delicate racing monocoque chassis and a little Nissan 6-cylinder twin-turbo out of a 300ZX, no! Come on over here and look at this. I, of course, did the mighty 8-liter Viper V10 engine, yes. Because this is America. We build hot rods, and I like big, nasty things. Besides, I want to be able to drive this on the street. You know, a lot of you all knew that I built the world's only turbine-powered Batmobile, which is a replica of the Michael Keaton Batmobile from 1989. It was big and massive and cool, blah, blah, blah. But, you know, it's a fictitious car. Who cares? But this is kind of like the Batmobile for the real world, really for the street. So what am I gonna do with it? Well, first of all, we're gonna be building this over quite a period of time, and some of you may have guessed my friend Chris Ardern. We're gonna do our Skunk Works project, and in a week and a half, I'm gonna take him the body, and right now he's already starting to jig up the bulkheads of a chassis that will be perfectly matched for this, because one, I'm gonna drive it on the street. Yes, it's gonna have air conditioning and heating. The body is so massive, there's plenty of room to put things like that. I've got room to spare. I've still got another 6 inches before the firewall, even with the Viper V10 engine in it. That's how big this car is. So yeah, I'm gonna drive it on the street. And yes, that's completely insane. I mean, look how long this thing is. Look at this wing. Look at these wing fences. They're insane. Completely insane. Beyond insane. But it's a real deal race car. How cool is that? So, I'm really excited to have had the opportunity to make this happen, and that's the reason why I've been teasing you guys so long. Yes. Actually, I had to wait to get everything, and I wanted to be in the right position to be able to then get the chassis done so it can all keep flowing, so I didn't unveil it, and then you guys had to wait too long to see any work being done on it. So what I've been doing for the last while, and behind me, you guys, of course, know, and Aaron, come on over here if you don't mind. This is the King Zero V12 supercar that we've been painstakingly working on forever, which goes back to the days of Coach building things out of steel, and it's a V12 and it's really pretty and sexy and blah, blah, blah. And right now, I am also starting work on this F1 hot rod build, which will be really, really cool. So this insane Nissan GTP bodied Viper abomination that I'm making is actually historically interesting. And a lot of people on the internet like to have silly arguments of like, who would win, Batman or Superman? Durr. Well, first of all, it'd be Superman. But that's neither here nor there, that kind of stuff. But I like Dodge Vipers. Yes, I like the big Mighty V10 engines that are lazy and awesome. And I love GTP from way back when. But the sad thing is, racing nowadays sucks. IndyCar racing is a spec series for the most massively wealthy people on the planet. It just is. It's not the way it was 50 years ago when you got to build cars. It's not like that. It's just about money. Even IMSA nowadays is super insanely expensive thing of an elite circle of people that get to do any of the sports car racing or even prototype racing. All the days of building something and using your mind to do something interesting in racing are basically dead, with one exception. Of course, beyond this YouTube channel. NASA. Look at this. National Autosport Association. You guys haven't been paying attention to them because they're not big spectated events. They've got an unlimited class. The only real rules in it are safety. You can do it everywhere you want with engine, drivetrain, suspension, aerodynamics. And there's nothing that says I can't build a fan car. Come back here, I'm gonna show you something. So this car, since I want to be able to drive it on the street, I'm not going to put on spindly little race car suspension. It's going to be a little heftier. It's going to be a little tougher. Car's going to be a touch heavier because of that, because I want to be able to put some miles on it. But look under here at how much insane amounts of space I have. If I want to experiment with a skirt underneath this thing and a powered fan car, I will. Yes! And that's the beauty of nowadays. That's the beauty of YouTube. Because back in the day when I was a kid with racing, the best you could do is watch the TV and ESPN on a Saturday after fishing shows and dream, right? And nowadays racing is basically just a bunch of wealthy people in their kooky spec series, massive international theaters. Lame. But if you're smart and you have a little bit of ingenuity, you stick with it and engineer and build in your mind, maybe we can go back to the old days of Jim Hall and Jack Brabham and Dan Gurney and build amazing things here, and then go drive it. So that's what it's all about, guys. So this project that I called the Jabberwock, for good reason, and Jackwagon because it's hilarious, this is what I consider the Viper GTP car that never got to happen, or the Viper WSC. I know WSC was open cockpit and this is closed cockpit, but whatever. Closed cockpit looks sexier, yes. So, guys, welcome. Project Viper GTP is about to begin. And, oh, dear YouTubers, the bar's up here now. Let's see what you guys can do. Very cool thing happening right now at the Packard American Motor Company. They're debuting their very first watch. This is the 1899 Model A. It's a mechanical automatic movement with a beautiful stainless steel case. All the parts are made in Switzerland and it's assembled right here in the United States. If you happen to have a Packard, you can get your serial number engraved right on it, but you guys need to go to packardamerica.us. This particular watch is mine. I'm looking very forward to wearing it more. It's frankly very comfortable and one of the best watches I've ever had. But this one's mine, not yours. You can't have it. Get your own. packardamerica.us.